Wendy Williams speaking out on Diddy's arrest, telling Daily Mail it's about time the embattled music mogul was investigated.
You know, my thing about when you date a mogul is that it's really difficult to avoid them, because if you use your head, you never know when they're gonna pop up on the scene. Like, he's mogul, like he can hire a plane right now, zoom it to South Africa, land on the roof of the hotel where she's staying, okay? Pay people off at the front desk, give me the key and let me up in her room.
Diddy is facing jail time for some truly appalling crimes. It's heartbreaking to think that while he was hurting these people from minors to women, Wendy Williams was out there trying to shine a light on his troubling behavior. If she were here right now, she'd probably be sitting in her chair, saying something like, "Clap if you're shocked." But honestly, didn't she try to warn us about guys like Diddy and Jay Z? Let's dive into this. It's important to remember that Wendy Williams and Diddy had a complex relationship. They worked closely together, especially when Diddy launched Bad Boy Records in 1993, and Wendy was making a name for herself in New York radio by 1994. She played a lot of Bad Boy's music and often commented on it, leading to a dynamic that was almost like frenemies. This tension came to a head in 1998. When Wendy sparked rumors about Diddy possibly being gay, a claim that has circulated for years. When Diddy caught wind of those rumors, he used his influence to get Wendy fired from her job. She had even received a photo of a man allegedly pulling down Diddy's shorts while he was vacationing in Cancun. Ironically, Wendy got the axe before she could even address the photo on air. Diddy leveraged his power to ensure that one of the hottest DJs at Hot 97 was taken off the air because she planned to reveal that picture. It shows just how much influence he had, and still has, which is why so many people hesitate to speak out about their experiences with him. Kirk Burroughs, who shared a wild story about Wendy Williams that really sheds light on the behind-the-scenes drama in hip-hop. According to him, Wendy was fired from Hot 97 because she had a compromising picture of Diddy, also known as Puff. Kirk recounted an incident that took place in Cancun. For some reason, there was a playful moment when someone grabbed Diddy's swim trunks and pulled them down. A group of girls who were taking pictures captured the moment and sent it directly to Wendy. When she got the photo, Wendy suggested it showed Diddy in a compromising position, insinuating something about his sexuality. She planned to air the story, which set off a chain reaction. Diddy wasn't having any of it. He made it clear to Hot 97 that if they didn't fire Wendy before he got back to New York, he would ensure that none of his music, along with that of his friends and associates, would be played on their station. This threat of a boycott showed just how much power Diddy wielded in the industry. Wendy later spoke about this incident in 2013, touching on the deep-seated homophobia in hip-hop. She reflected on how, at the time, discussing someone's sexuality could lead to severe backlash, claiming she was practically burned at the stake for her comments. Today, she commended the shift in attitudes, noting that people can now express their opinions more freely. Kirk also brought up the fact that, despite the stigma, there were many openly gay individuals in hip-hop during the 90s. He challenged the norms of masculinity in the genre, questioning whether it was worse for hip-hop artists to wear skirts or to live in denial of their true identities while maintaining a facade of masculinity, often supported by having multiple children, like Diddy, who has 7. As tensions escalated, Diddy took things a step further by sending a girl group from his label, Total, to confront Wendy. Wendy recounted how she was minding her own business one day when she found herself face-to-face with the group outside the radio station. She described the scene vividly. After finishing her broadcast, she noticed that everyone inside the station was crowding around the windows, eager to see what would unfold. Wendy was caught off guard. She said, "I got off the air, and Total was downstairs. Everybody upstairs at the radio station was looking down, egging it on, waiting for something to happen. Thankfully, her boyfriend at the time swooped in just as tensions were about to boil over." She remembered standing in the doorway, confused, just as her boyfriend screeched up in his car, ready to intervene. Wendy reflected on the atmosphere that day, noting that there was no security around, just the three women from Total, and her co-workers looking on, unsure of what might go down. She expressed that she wasn't the type to escalate a fight, especially against three women, but the intensity of the situation was palpable. Just as she was trying to comprehend what was happening, she heard the commotion outside. One of her co-workers went out to assess the situation and returned, informing her that Total was indeed waiting to confront her. Back in 2009, when Charlamagne Tha God was co-hosting Wendy Williams' radio show, they welcomed former bad boy rapper Mark Curry to discuss his book, Dancing with the Devil, How Puff Burned the Bad Boys of Hip-Hop. The devil in this context was unmistakably Diddy. During the interview, Mark made a striking comment. "This is a man that has a shadow of things that follow him, and it will rain on you too." It was evident that the conversation revolved around the dark cloud that seemed to hover over Diddy. Throughout the interview, Wendy nodded along, fully agreeing with Mark's observations, highlighting her own awareness of the problematic nature of Diddy's influence. Wendy also had strong opinions about the dynamic between Diddy and Cassie. She often expressed concerns about the significant power imbalance in their relationship, which always favored Diddy. "You know, my thing about dating a mogul is that it's really difficult to avoid them," she noted. "If you use your head, you never know when they're going to pop up on the scene." She elaborated on this point, imagining how easily Diddy could orchestrate a surprise visit. "He's a mogul. He can hire a plane right now, zoom it to South Africa, land on the roof of the hotel where she's standing, pay people off at the front desk, and get the key to her room. I'd be paranoid as a person, but knowing that somebody could actually swoop down on me out of nowhere would scare the bejesus out of me." This concern about Diddy's behavior became all the more relevant when Cassie filed her lawsuit against him. In her legal action, she detailed the intense and uncontrollable rage that Diddy directed toward her, describing instances of violence that left her with memory loss due to his physical assaults. Cassie opened up about her harrowing struggles with suicidal thoughts and the trauma of being forced to engage with male escorts while Diddy filmed the encounters. As her relationship with him deteriorated by 2018, she alleged that Diddy had forcibly entered her home, imposing himself upon her. This disturbing revelation underscores the very fears Wendy had voiced years earlier about the perils of being involved with someone like Diddy. When Cassie first met Diddy and signed to his label at just 19 years old, he introduced her to a lavish and fast-paced lifestyle that was far removed from anything she had known. At the time, Diddy was nearing 40, highlighting the significant power imbalance that Wendy Williams often discussed. This disparity in their ages and experiences set the stage for a relationship where Diddy held considerable sway over Cassie's life and choices. Wendy's critique of Diddy didn't come without personal consequences. In fact, Diddy retaliated against her for exposing his behavior, attempting to blackball her in the industry. In her 2004 book, The Wendy Williams Experience, Wendy admitted to harboring a strong disdain for Diddy, who she felt had made a concerted effort to derail her career. She was open about how his actions impacted her professional life, creating tension that lingered for years. On her radio show, The Wendy Williams Experience, in 2005, Wendy recounted a frightening incident where she claimed she was almost attacked by the girl group Total, who were signed to Diddy's Bad Boy Records. During a 2019 episode of her talk show, Wendy provided more context about the alleged confrontation. She described walking down to meet her then-boyfriend, Kevin, whom she referred to as the good Kevin at that time, accompanied by her intern, whom she jokingly nicknamed Skeletor. As they entered the elevator, Wendy noticed that people outside were staring intently at the sidewalk. When she reached the ground floor, she was shocked to see members of Total jump out of a gypsy cab, seemingly intent on confronting her. "I'm like, for what?" Wendy recalled. "You know what I said was true. You all are broke, and you were living in the projects. This bold assertion spoke to the underlying truths she believed about the group, but it also illustrated the fiery tension that surrounded her interactions with Diddy and his associates. Reflecting on the incident, Wendy acknowledged her desire to rise above the drama, stating, "What I did was desire to do better so I could have a purple chair and talk about it right now, and then have the whole scene play out in the Lifetime movie." In a revealing 2013 interview with Vlad TV, Wendy Williams suggested that Diddy played a pivotal role in her firing from radio, an incident that she claimed was linked to her speculation about a certain hip-hop artist's lifestyle. Wendy recounted the tumultuous climate of hip-hop during her early career, stating, "We come from a very homosexual era of hip-hop as well. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such things." Wendy's assertion that she was targeted for her commentary speaks volumes about the tension between personal freedom and industry power. She alluded to numerous undisclosed situations during her career that were fraught with peril, suggesting a legacy of intimidation and control that artists like Diddy wielded. "Now it's all come full circle," she reflected, indicating that the current climate was finally catching up with those who had sought to silence voices like hers. Fast forward to recent events, and Wendy's long-held suspicions about Diddy's behavior have gained alarming validation. Over the past few weeks, the entertainment world was rocked by allegations against Diddy, drawing immense public interest. Diddy was arrested in Manhattan roughly 6 months after federal agents conducted raids on his opulent homes in Los Angeles and Miami. Court documents revealed that prosecutors had interviewed over 50 witnesses, with the expectation that this number would only increase as a grand jury indictment loomed. The details emerging from these investigations painted a disturbing picture. Federal agents reportedly found not only an astonishing 1,000 bottles of baby oil at Diddy's residences, but also 3 AR-15 rifles. The discovery of such items suggested a chaotic lifestyle intertwined with questionable activities. Wendy, known for her sharp commentary, would likely have had a field day with the revelation of those 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Speculation swirled that these items were linked to a series of wild parties that Diddy allegedly hosted, affectionately dubbed his freak-offs, where outrageous behavior was the norm. The recently unveiled indictment against Diddy paints a shocking picture of his alleged activities and the extravagant gatherings he orchestrated. According to the detailed legal documents, these gatherings were characterized not only by their opulence, but also by the use of controlled substances and an array of supplies that included extra linens and specialized lighting to create the desired atmosphere. This indictment reveals a pattern of behavior that goes far beyond mere celebrity excess, hinting at a deeply troubling reality of manipulation and abuse. Central to the allegations is Diddy's purported coercion of women and those in his orbit to fulfill his personal desires while simultaneously safeguarding his public image and concealing his troubling conduct. He is accused of leveraging his wealth, influence, and the loyalty of his staff to not only build his business empire, but to foster what has been described as a criminal enterprise. The charges against him are grave, encompassing forced labor, assault, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The indictment highlights numerous instances dating back to at least 2009, illustrating a consistent pattern of mistreatment towards women. Accounts describe Diddy dragging women and throwing objects at them, depicting a volatile and abusive environment. Furthermore, it alleges that he lured women under the guise of romantic relationships, only to subsequently force them into participating in freak-offs. These events were not mere parties, but rather orchestrated performances where Diddy exerted physical and psychological control over the participants. The nature of these freak-offs was particularly disturbing, described in the indictment as elaborate and often involving intimate performances that Diddy not only arranged, but directed during the events. The legal documents also reveal that these gatherings were meticulously planned. Diddy's staff would book hotel rooms in advance, stocking them with baby oil, lubricant sheets, and tailored lighting to enhance the experience. It was reported that these gatherings could last for days, with participants allegedly receiving IV fluids to recover from whatever substances were used during these debaucherous marathons. Wendy Williams has always been outspoken about the questionable nature of the parties thrown by Diddy. She wasn't afraid to blow the whistle on them, insisting that the activities that took place behind closed doors were suspect at best. Remember when she discussed the infamous 1999 incident involving Jennifer Lopez? Wendy didn't hold back. She called Diddy out, labeling him a jerk for how he handled the situation and suggesting that something shady was definitely going on. And let's not forget the receipts we got about Shine being set up to take the fall for Diddy's actions. It's wild to think about how Puffy had me racing through traffic lights just to get to a nightclub. I still remember doing the per walk and spending a few hours in jail because of it. Speaking of exposing the truth, have you seen Wendy's interview with Karine Superhead Steffens after she released her tell-all book? Karine was one of the first to come forward about Diddy, sharing how Irv Gotti practically handed her off to him at a party because Diddy was asking about her. In her book, she described how wild the party was, revealing that she and Diddy ended up hooking up. And let's just say he had some interesting requests that involved another man, if you catch my drift. Karen recounted that a few months later, while hanging out with Exhibit, she found herself at another Diddy party. And this time, she noticed a lot of questionable activities going on. According to her, Diddy seemed to be on drugs and was acting paranoid, worried that she might spill the beans about their encounters. It's no surprise that when Superhead did her interview with Wendy, Wendy was right there, asking all the crucial questions. You can almost hear Wendy now saying, "Clap if you think Diddy is guilty." But when it comes to Jay Z, Wendy hasn't held back either, especially regarding his rumored relationships with younger women like Foxy Brown. Foxy and Jay Z worked together frequently throughout the 90s, and he even wrote several songs for her debut album. The lyrics he had her singing were downright wild. Can we just take a moment to reflect on the fact that Jay Z, as a grown man, had a 15-year-old girl recording songs with lyrics like, "Ain't no end like the one I got, no one can fuck you better. Sleeps around, but he gives me a lot, keeps you in diamonds and leathers. Friends tell me I should leave you alone. Tell the freaks to find a man of their own." It's astonishing to think about. Not only that, but Jay Z also penned a line in Foxy Brown's song "Il Na Na," where he references chasing after her. Although he didn't rap in the track, he was responsible for those specific lyrics. First the mansion, then the yacht. Sound proper. Straight Cash got bloodhounds trying to hunt down the brown fox. The implication is clear, and the timing raises eyebrows. He was reportedly 27 while Foxy was just 15. Wendy Williams has been vocal about this relationship, especially when Foxy and Jay Z released their album together. Wendy pointed out how, during the promotion, Foxy was clearly the star while Jay Z seemed almost anxious, standing off to the side and nervously asking, "Okay, all right, what do I do next?" The romance between them has always been shrouded in speculation, but let's be real. We all have a pretty good idea of what was going on. Allegedly, Foxy had a fling with Jay Z before he was with Beyoncé. Beyond their rumored relationship, reports indicate that Jay Z was financially supporting Foxy during her high school years, covering her shopping sprees and even her hair and nail salon visits. It's wild to think about how interconnected the hip-hop world can be, especially when it comes to relationships. According to people who went to school with Foxy Brown, Jay Z would often pick her up after classes. Interestingly enough, Biggie Smalls was also said to have given her rides, and while they were simply friends, it was common knowledge that Foxy and Jay were involved romantically. There's even a rumor that a tape exists featuring Jay Z, Foxy, and Jamie Foxx engaged in some very intimate activities. Allegedly, after this threesome, Jay Z had Foxy sign multiple gag orders to keep the incident under wraps. Ironically, shortly after that, the tape mysteriously vanished from her home. Adding to the intrigue, there were also whispers that Jay Z may have given Foxy an STD. And let's not forget, Wendy Williams was well aware of all this. She had the scoop. But Foxy Brown isn't the only one entangled in this web of allegations. There are claims circulating that some of the same behavior Diddy is being accused of has also been mirrored by Jay Z. Moreover, it's important to remember that Jay Z was close with R. Kelly, working together on numerous records. They both shared a deep connection through their love for Aaliyah, which brings another layer to the conversation. Jaguar Wright, another outspoken figure in the industry, has been vocal about what she knows, often facing criticism and being dismissed as crazy. And let's not overlook Nas, who has also suggested that Jay Z was aware of R. Kelly's questionable behavior with young women, particularly Aaliyah. During an interview with Wendy Williams, Nas remarked on how he could have exposed Jay Z's knowledge about the infamous R. Kelly tape, implying that Jay was part of that scene. You can't seriously tell me that Jay Z didn't notice a 14-year-old girl walking into the studio and sitting on R. Kelly's lap. With federal authorities now investigating Diddy for allegedly transporting young women across state lines, it raises a question. Shouldn't they also be taking a closer look at Jay Z? His name has been popping up in discussions alongside Diddy and R. Kelly, and the implications are more than a little suspicious. And let's not forget about Beyoncé, Jay Z's wife, because the timeline of their relationship is a bit murky. Officially, they claimed they started dating when Beyoncé was 19, but many people who were around back then say they were actually together long before that. Somehow, Jay Z managed to keep Beyoncé close, eventually marrying her. But have you heard the whispers about his alleged controlling behavior over her throughout the years? What Wendy Williams has been trying to tell us is that Diddy, Jay Z, R. Kelly, they all seem to operate in the same sphere. As Wendy pointed out, everything is coming full circle. While R. Kelly and Diddy are already facing the music for their actions, it feels like it's only a matter of time before Jay Z's past catches up with him too, and trust me, those skeletons are bound to come out. What do you all think? Does Wendy deserve an apology for all the backlash she faced as a whistleblower? And while we're at it, how do you think she would have reacted to Diddy's arrest? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.